It is, Joe. It certainly is. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 and thank you. Thanks for making your Friday morning, a payday Friday for some. Thanks for making your morning a part of my morning. I know I haven't been in here since Tuesday morning, but life happens, work happens, and you just get so busy, and sometimes you just need to sit back, relax, and just get prepared for the following day. I'm just going to close this window, and thank you so much to Joe Desmond and Simon McGinnis for putting that together. Joe Desmond on the vocals. Maybe you've seen the image, maybe you've seen the video for the MattTv show opening. It's on my YouTube page, and thank you, Simon McGinnis, for putting the visuals together for that. And we're going to talk about Simon and the flag coming up here real quick. I'm going to go back to my Facebook page. I'm going to refresh it, and we are off to the races. I'm going to have a lot of fun here this morning. The usual, the last 24 brought to you by Nick. We're going to get into my briefs, Toby's Edmonton weather, the board of scores, product plug, soundbite, and we're going to talk to musician Dan Esplin, who is in Estevan, Saskatchewan. So that's going to be a great, great interview. So I'm just going to refresh my Facebook page. I'm going to scroll down so I can see the video, and we are good to go. I want to try and keep my rambling shorter this morning so I can spend more time with Dan on the phone. Looking forward to that. And here I am. Brent, good morning. Okay, so let's get right into the last 24 brought to you by Nick. I just want to let you know right now, not sure what the weather is like in your neck of the woods. Currently -2, clear skies. The Big Dipper is directly above my home here in White Rock, British Columbia. It's going to be a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Just to recap what's happened to me in the last few days. Tuesday morning, I did my last show. Tuesday, I picked up former Woodstock resident Dave Keenan. Took Dave Keenan to a SkyTrain orientation, and for the last 2.5 days, Dave Keenan has been working with me, and a part of the Trevor Jarvis team working for SkyTrain. So that's a lot of fun. It's been an absolute blast seeing Dave Keenan every day and working with him. So cool stuff. Gorgeous weather here on the South Coast. I was talking about this last week where we were into a lot of rain and we were due for a change in the weather. Well, Sunday afternoon, that change happened, and we've had absolutely beautiful weather here for the last few days. There's even rumors kicking around the meteorologist water cooler that sunshine could be here for quite an extended period of time. They're talking about right up till Christmas. Sunshine till Christmas. Last year at this time, we were dealing with snow. Not a lot of fun. Pretty busy day yesterday. We had a big project along the SkyTrain line. We were removing a dangerous sequoia tree. That was an 11-hour day for me. My day started at 5 o'clock yesterday morning. Well, I actually left here at 4 o'clock. Had to be at work at 5 doing some ice melting. That's why there was no show yesterday morning. And then I wanted to come home and do a show last night, but after 11 hours, it was some binge watching of The Walking Dead and a couple tuna melt sandwiches. And I was good. I was good for the night. And then it was just listening to the Total Imaginary Mind Experience albums and some of the music that Dan is a part of and getting ready for this morning. So I can't really apologize for not doing shows. Like I said from the very beginning, life happens. And if you've been watching MattTv long enough, maybe you have a notification. If you're online, you'll be notified when I go live. And if you want to hang out with me for a few moments or the duration of the show, you are more than welcome to come and go as you please. Come and go as you please. Yes, 5:34 on a starry, just a beautiful morning. Just an absolutely beautiful morning here on the south coast of British Columbia. Had a chance to visit my in-laws, my father-in-law, Robert Vespaziani, and his wife, Sheila. They're in town till early January, so it was nice to hang out with them the other day. Today's a payday Friday. Payday Friday for some people. Staff party for myself and all my coworkers next Friday afternoon. That's going to be great. Christmas tree. We are picking one up this weekend. How are you doing on your holiday decorations? In 3 words for me out here, life is good. Life is good. And that is the last 24 brought to you by Nick. I'm just going to roll right into a new segment I want to call My Briefs. So let's quickly have a look at My Briefs. A Supreme Court ruling today will affect the way you text message. Espresso, not espresso, hunting for habitable planets Al Franken resigned. There's some pretty cool stem cell news. North Korea said war is inevitable, which is very, very sad. There's some pet news, some interesting news involving Johnny Depp, J.K. Rowling, and Amber Heard. And Edmonton City Council has voted to spend $3 million to defeat dandelions. Dandelions. The word dandy is in the title, so that's interesting. That seems like a really smart way to spend $3 million. And that is a quick look at my briefs. Quickly, let's get right into Toby's Edmundston weather. And the weather in the Edmundston area doesn't look good. It doesn't look as nice as it is out here on the south coast of British Columbia. You're looking at a chance of flurries today, a few clouds, and minus 12 tonight. And then the rest of the forecast is just a mix of chance of flurries for Saturday, periods of snow for Sunday, more flurries for Monday, periods of snow for Tuesday, Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud for Thursday, the 14th of December. That day when it's minus 9, that'll give you the opportunity to get outside and shovel all the snow that Mother Nature dumped on you the previous days. All right, that's a look at Toby's Edmundston weather. And if I am speaking too fast for you, I don't know. I think you can keep along. I know I talk really fast, but I think I'm very audible. Audible is a think-up word. I got to drink this before it gets cold. Quickly, board of scores. If you're into NHL hockey, a few games that are happening tonight. Columbus Blue Jackets in New Jersey, Rangers in Washington, Vegas is in Nashville, Buffalo and Chicago. Chicago is losers of their last 5. They're sitting at 12, 11, and 5. Buffalo in town to play Chicago. Minnesota is in Anaheim, and of course you have Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. So there's just sports galore, and that is the board of scores. Getting right into Williams. Sorry, before we get into Williams' wacky soundbite of the night, something I have to do during every show. I've been doing it for 8.5 months now. Wayne the Great product plug. This is a holiday treat. These are big. They're not plums. They're not even in the same family. Well, maybe they are. What are you looking at right here? Wayne the Great product plug. Okay. I'm going to quickly take a break. The timing is pretty good here. I want to be able to talk to Dan for a few moments. I have a ton of questions that I want to ask him. So that being said, coming up here real quick, I'm going to be speaking with musician Dan Esplin in Estevan, Saskatchewan. And we're going to talk about his involvement with the Total Imaginary Mind Experience. So, as always, when I do phone interviews, I like to play music. I asked Dan what his favorite song was, and then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to play one of the songs from Total Imaginary Mind Experience. This is Thomas. And while you enjoy this, I'm going to give Dan a call. I'll be right back with musician Dan Esplin on MattTv. I'm just going to do my old school radio trick. I know there's still time left in the song, but I just want to dial it down a bit so I can get my interview in here with Dan Esplin, who's on the phone. He had to call me, but all is good. This is a great song. I'm just going to get Dan on speaker here right now. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. That's I love Thomas, and I love the instrumental that you put up.
Yeah, Thomas is a great song.
They're all great. I've been listening to your music for since you sent out those CDs. I'm a fan, Dan.
Perfect.
And we're going to tell people about your music here during the show. So thanks, I appreciate this. You're in Estevan, Saskatchewan. That's how you pronounce it, right? Estevan?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Estevan, Saskatchewan. So how close? In what relation to Regina are you? Like north, south?
It's 2 hours south of Regina and about a half an hour north of the U.S. border.
Oh, okay. So you're south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Southeast, yeah.
Southeast. Okay, cool. Do you ever? How often do you go into the States?
We haven't on like North Dakota's right below us, and we haven't gone down there because my son doesn't have a passport. But we went to the States this last year and went to a concert, my wife and I, and we don't really have much of a point to go down there. So
yeah.
We're still exploring Saskatchewan, I guess you could say.
The Badlands in North Dakota. I had an opportunity to go through there years ago in a Greyhound. If you ever, that's a cool area to check out.
I'll have to do that.
The Badlands, yeah. But let's get right into the topic of your music, the Total Imaginary Mind experience. Now, I was doing some research on your Facebook last night, which I find is a great tool to find out what people are doing in their life, right?
Yeah.
So I go all the way back to April 17th was the first post that I saw for Total Imaginary Mind experience on Reverb Nation. Can you tell me about that?
Well, originally, Stan and I, we just wanted to have like a side project for writing our songs and everything. And we didn't want to put a band out. We just wanted to make music together.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the start of it. We recorded kind of an EP at the start. We put it up on Reverb Nation, and I think we also had it on Bandcamp and a couple other places. And we really didn't think much of it. And it just, how life goes, we drifted apart for a while, and then got back and decided to keep doing it, keep trying to make music and try to become songwriters and singers and everything like that. So
now,
how we got our start.
You said it was a side project. That seems like a pretty big side project. What's your main project?
Well, like at the time when we were starting the band, we were just backing people up as like a rhythm section.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would just be kind of whoever we could play with, we would. And I would be playing bass, he'd be playing drums. And we would just try to get gigs that way, backing up singer-songwriters. So you play with enough singer-songwriters, I guess, that eventually you kind of say, well, I think I could do this just as well. And
mm-hmm.
that's kind of how it got started for us, just wanting to not be the side people and try to put our own stuff out there, try to be creative ourselves.
Okay. What instruments do you both play?
Well, Stan plays the drums and he sings, and I think he can kind of play the piano. And then, but he doesn't play piano on any of our recordings. And then I could play guitar and bass, a little bit of drums, and a little bit of the piano as well. Cool.
You play the piano as well as Stan does?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
The title, the name of the band, how much back and forth was there on the title, or who finally made the decision, the executive decision?
Well, that was like in that was Stan's title, and he was in a band called that. It was like the first band he was in when he was a teenager, so I'm guessing this is like the 70s, because I think he was born in the 60s. And they thought it was a clever name because when you put the first letters together, it becomes Time, and they were Grateful Dead fans, and they were into the whole hippie kind of jam music.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we were trying to think of something, Stan had mentioned it, and I thought, well, that's a perfect name, you know. So there was never any kind of contention about what the name should be. I think it was literally the first thing that he had said.
Okay.
And we were both like, yeah, perfect.
I never realized when you look at it, it is Time.
I know, we don't really advertise that though. But it is kind of funny. But I just thought, wow, that's a really cool name. So.
What about the artwork, the album artwork? Who's responsible for that? Do you have friends helping you out with that, or is that just you and Stan?
No, that is all the paintings that I have done.
Oh, excellent. All right, cool.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I've never been like a painter or anything, but I thought, you know what, maybe this will be fun. So went down to the dollar store and got some canvas, and my wife Janelle had a whole bunch of paint and paintbrushes. She likes to paint, and just thought, well, okay, whatever, I'll try to do this. And so now it's become sort of our theme. The first album we did just on the computer, you know. And it looks fine and everything, but we were like, well, let's try to have like some cool albums. Like the biggest thing in that regard is I remember when I was a teenager going to record stores, and I would pick out an album just solely on the album artwork, and you just hope that it's going to be good. But you see the album, the cover, and you're like, oh wow, it has to be good. It has like this interesting thing. So that was kind of our idea, you know. Well, let's try to set our album covers apart, because even if you think about it, lots of people have like really interesting album artwork now. It's kind of like a standard. So we thought, let's have some silly paintings on there, and hopefully it draws people to us.
I love the Farm Trout album cover. It's like a farm and a trout.
It is. Well, that's like Stan. We talk every week because he's in the States and I'm in Canada, so we Skype every week. And it's just something that he says all the time, farm trout, instead of saying far out. It's like this old hippie thing.
It's like a Rickyism.
Exactly. So I said, well, that's got to be the title of the album. And we didn't want to have writing on there, so we thought, well, it's kind of like a farmhouse and a trout on there. It kind of is self-explanatory. And
oh, what part of the U.S. is Stan in?
He just moved to Palm Springs.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, before he was in Port Townsend, Washington, so pretty close to where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like 3 hours down, I guess. So yeah, he was there the whole time we were writing and recording, and we just finished another album. You know, before he left, we tried to get it all done so the room would sound the same for his drums. And now he's trying to get shows and do his thing just outside of LA, I guess Palm Springs is.
So do you have any, like, would you be joining him? Would he invite you down to do some gigs with him, or?
Well, he has dual citizenship, so we've been talking about this summer him coming to Saskatchewan and us playing Saskatchewan in my area, maybe Regina, and a few of the places we formerly played in Alberta. It's weird trying to get into the States, and then it's weird, like, with how I would get paid and everything like that. Like, I would have to get a working visa and all this stuff, where he can just come here and work whenever he wants.
Yeah. Way less hassle.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on with your name on display at the Galt Museum?
At the Galt Museum.
It was on your Facebook, April 29th. Everyone was there was all these arrows pointing to the name Dan Esplin.
Oh yeah, so I guess the people at the Galt were trying to show how all the people, because we originally were from Lethbridge, Alberta, And they're trying to show how all the bands and the people in the bands were connected to each other at one point or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it has me, and it's just basically pointing out all the bands that I've been in, all the people that I've played with, and all the people they've played with. So it's kind of like almost like a family tree, you could think of it, for that city. And it's actually it's huge. Like the actual display is quite large, and it's really interesting just seeing who's played with who and how it's all kind of formed together, and you can kind of see where people got their starts and everything.
Interesting. That's cool. That's cool. Your son, Maverick, how old is Maverick now? Because he was just an infant. Because I should tell people, Dan and I used to work together like 4.5 years ago, and your son had just been born.
Yeah.
Your son, Maverick, how old is he now?
He is 4.
He's 4.
4.5, I guess.
4.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I just basically, I could have figured that out myself. I wanted to ask you, how does Maverick inspire you to be a better artist?
I don't know. I guess it's hard to say where art really comes from, because I've always been a person that writes music more on like the emotional side. Like, I've had a bad day, I'm gonna go play guitar for a couple hours, and all of a sudden a song comes out. But I guess like when we first moved here, it was so cold. It was about 1 in Vancouver, and it was minus 50 in Saskatchewan.
Minus 50?
So, yeah, it was crazy. It was really windy too. And so like the whole first album, I always think of it as a winter album because it's fast, and it was just like for the first year that I was here, I wasn't teaching or anything. I was just hanging out with my son, and it would be so cold that I'd always be trying to play like rock music and doing all that kind of stuff, you know. It's because it's freezing, so you play fast music. So I always think of it as like a winter album. But as far as it's really hard to say. Like, I don't know if I could point out a single song that's like the inspiration from him or anything like that, you know, because I just try to take everything, all of my life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My wife inspires me. He inspires me. Like, owning a home here and having a life here is pretty inspirational, but it's hard to really pinpoint it,
Okay.
you know, if that kind of makes sense.
But he knows that his father enjoys playing music. He can see that. He can hear that. And I guess what I was trying to say is, like, you're always showing him that you just should do what you love to do, right? Whatever makes you happy. And for you, it's playing music and making music. And I guess that's what I was getting at. But
yeah, no, I think he gets that whole point.
yeah,
He loves pretending to play. We have like a little drum set here for him, and I made him a 2-string bass a couple of summers ago. So he'll get us to play like the Ghostbusters song, and he'll pretend like he's dancing and playing guitar and everything like that. So
nice. Going back to songwriting, how do you approach songwriting? Do you a topic comes to mind and you think about it for a few days, or all these thoughts pop into your head and you just write everything down and then form the song after? How do you approach songwriting?
no, it is what you had just said. There was this person that came to Estevan like 3 years ago that talked about songwriting, and it's when I had only written about one song. And the thing that he said is he always carries like a pen and paper around with him so he can write down something. So for me, I always have the music already completely written, especially with teaching and playing all the time. I'm constantly writing, constantly coming up with new riffs. And the lyrical part has always been the real struggle for me. So the thing that I do is just like one line will come into my head. And I'll be like, okay, that's really catchy. So I'll put it in my phone, I'll save it, and then I'll kind of be like, well, how do I craft an actual song around this one line?
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of put it towards things that interest me or things that are in my life. But I try to be really mysterious about what my songs are about, because I don't want my family to be like, oh, hey, this song's totally about me. What did you say? Or something like that, you know?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want it to be too obvious what I'm writing about. When I think it kind of works well with Stan because he's like this storyteller, and he is really literal with what he wants to say. And so we kind of have like this yin and yang of the storyteller and the really mysterious kind of person, I guess you could say.
The album, is it D-Class? Am I pronouncing that right?
D-Class A.
D-Class A.
Yeah.
The album D-Class A has a song on it called Honky Skronk. Is that?
Yeah.
The video, now the video, you put it on, I can't remember the website, it's on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
How much of a range, I just want to talk about Stan for a minute vocally, a couple of things. What's his range like? And when I listened to that song, I could hear a little bit of Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden. But what are your influences? So what are your influences, and what is Stan's range for vocals?
Well, that's actually me singing on there. So
what? Awesome! Awesome.
The way we've done it so far is the first album, The Devil's Flame, was me, all of my songs. Second album, Farm Trout, is all him. Third album was all me again. And now we just recorded our fourth album, and it's gonna have both of us because we kind of want to do like the Grateful Dead thing. You know, they had Bob Weir and Jerry Garcia trading off songs, so we kind of want to do that kind of thing.
Okay, interesting. That's because I knew you were a talented Dan, but I didn't know you were that talented. That's excellent.
As far as like what's inspiring him, like I know he's into some modern kind of folk singers right now. Like he grew up on like Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix and the Grateful Dead and Cream and all that kind of stuff. But now he listens to, there's this one band, I can't think of what they're called, but one guy that he really likes is like that Sturgill Simpson artist, and there's this band with brothers that he's really into right now. And then as far as myself, I've been more and more, like I keep on trying to tell people that I'm a blues artist because I see myself as the same as like the guys from the 40s and 50s, like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. That's who I kind of want to be. So that's why my vocals range it really fluctuates because I always feel like I'm still trying to find my voice. So on like the one hand, I want to sound like a guy that's been smoking cigars and drinking whiskey his whole life and having like a really raspy voice.
Yeah, Tom Waits.
Yeah, kind of that kind of thing, but obviously it's not real. And then the other thing I go for is just I like to, I've been listening to so much like the last few years, like especially once I moved out here, I had a lot more chance to get into other music, you know, whether it was through my lessons or just having more free time. So I would say like the biggest influences I have, and you can kind of hear it on the Farm Trout album, it would be like Fleetwood Mac is like a huge inspiration to me. The Beatles, like all the cliche bands from the 60s and 70s is basically where I try to draw my stuff from. But especially with Stan's album, I kept on, like Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac is probably one of my all-time favorite guitar players. He's just amazing. So I tried to go for that kind of feel on Stan's album, like that old Fleetwood Mac Rumors album kind of feel of that finger-picked guitars and really dirty, distorted guitars with really catchy bass lines, and trying to get Stan to put out really groovy drum lines and everything like that. But at the same time, we're trying to sound like ourselves. Like even though he sings half the songs and I sing half the songs, we want it to the background, like the actual music, to sound like the Total Imaginary Mind experience.
Yeah, you want to have that distinct sound.
Yeah,
which you do. I got to wrap this up here real quick, Dan, but where can people find you? They can find you on YouTube, Bandcamp, and Reverb Nation. Just quickly talk about Bandcamp.com.
Bandcamp's kind of this weird site where you could put all your music up on it, people can buy it there. We've had a lot of people come to that site. We also have all of our albums available on there to check out, but also we have all of our albums without vocals. So people, if they're like, we kind of like you, but we don't like your singing, they can still hear our albums. So.
Okay. What a mean thing to say. What about Amazon? What about Amazon.com?
Yeah, our albums are available at Amazon.com now. We have a distributor that's putting all of our music on Spotify, Pandora, Google Music, iTunes, everything like that. So we have someone now that is taking care of all of that for us and making sure it's distributed across Canada, the U.S., and probably the world. I don't know.
Perfect. Perfect. One final thing, Dan. I noticed on your album cover, the growingtheshow.com.
Yeah.
Are they helping you with your packaging?
No, this was our, like, it all comes back. Like, we like to reuse our names, I guess you could say. Our original rhythm section, when me and Stan would back people up, we called ourselves The Grow Show. Because we thought, well, it was cool when the band would back up, like Bob Dylan and everyone else they backed up. And we're like, well, if we're going to be a rhythm section, we need a name. So we called ourselves The Grow Show. And then when we were trying to think of, well, we need representation and all of this stuff, and we want to do everything ourselves. We want very little help from anyone. So we thought, well, let's call ourselves The Grow Show record label, because pretty much more people know us by that than by Total Imaginary Mind Experience, but we wanted it to be something new, so that's where that comes from. And it all comes from Stan's phrase, what is it? Basically growing the show, you know. Our thing was coming together and becoming something bigger than we could individually, so.
Evolving.
Exactly.
Okay, one final thing. What's up for Total Imaginary Mind Experience for 2018? What are some short-term goals?
The goals for 2018 is going to be starting to put ourselves out there, playing shows. We have one album that we're going to be putting out that's called Parlor Hicks. And we might have a second album that we put out, but we did 3 albums this year. Next year we don't want to have to be so crazy with writing all the time. So we're just putting out the one album and trying to focus on getting to the people, I guess you could say, actually playing shows.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, I wish you nothing but the best. And like I said at the very beginning, I am a fan of your music. Some of the stuff I was listening to this morning had a little bit of a Pink Floyd tinge to it.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff, Dan. I'm really happy for you. And your son and your wife in freezing cold Saskatchewan. What's the temperature there this morning, Dan?
Oh, it's probably like minus 20 or something like that.
Probably. Yeah. You say it just like it's an everyday occurrence, or is it?
It is.
It is.
No, it's cold for about 5 months. So.
Oh my. Well, dress in layers.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, Matt.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, this is a platform for people to come on and talk about whatever they want to talk about. And 3 hours later, you got a hold of me, and we just did the interview. So everything went like a well-oiled machine, Dan.
Perfect.
So I'm going to post this up, and feel free to share it with your friends. And let's talk sometime in the new year, Dan. Let's keep in touch, and I'll say hi to Big D and Laura for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, Dan. Have a good weekend. And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, my friend.
You as well.
All right. Later, Dan.
Bye.
Bye. Dan Esplin in Estevan, Saskatchewan this morning, where he said it's like minus 20 something. Ooh. That's going to do it for me. 7 minutes after 6 o'clock, a little overtime, but that's okay. Hope you enjoyed the program. That was a lot of fun. I still had a ton more questions. I could have talked to Dan for another 15, 20 minutes, but I got to go to work. It's going to be a beautiful day here on the South Coast. Sunshine till Christmas. What? Sunshine till Christmas. Yes. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I got to work tomorrow, but I might pop in here Sunday afternoon just to see who's in here, play around for a bit. But definitely new shows Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. The Canadian flag is in Canada Post hands right now. It's in transition from Moncton. Big thank you to Crawdaddy and Dude and Lisa and any others that signed the flag, well, it was at C-103. It's now on its way to Conception Bay South. Newfoundland's going to hang out with Simon McGuinness probably till early January. I was just thinking this morning, I don't want that lost in holiday package stuff. I just can't. No, can't do it. I just have this fear that it'll get lost in the holiday mail mix-up. So the Canadian flag will not be here for the month of December, back here in January sometime. I just don't want to take any chances. It means too much to me. 0 degrees here on the coast. Yeah, this morning it was like -2, but it's supposed to get up to like 8, 9 degrees today in the sunshine, but some heavy pockets of fog. But last year at this time, we were shoveling snow. It was just, I'm just trying to mentally forget last year. Okay, I'll see you here on the weekend. Have a great Friday. Hopefully it's a payday Friday for you. If you got a staff party this weekend, don't drink and drive. Get an Uber driver, a cab, a friend, whatever you need to do to get home safely. Yes? All right. Okay, my name is Matthew. This is MattTv, now and always from sea to sea. Bye-bye now.